Good morning, race fans. We're live from ZMAX Dragway at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the opening round of the SMX playoffs. Yes, the playoffs. After 17 grueling rounds of Monsterenergy AMA Supercross and 11 more in the AMA Pro Motocross Championship, the field resets today for a three-race sprint to the finish. Friday's sunshine turned up the thermostat, and today's shaping up similarly, a high around 90 degrees Fahrenheit with roughly 67% humidity. Heat, humidity, and a tricky surface will test fitness and bike setup from the first laps. Riders will spend the morning dialing in lines and suspension as the track comes to them. Because SMX Next World All-Stars 250 SMX and 450 SMX already had two free practices yesterday, the first bikes on course today roll straight into time qualifying that counts toward the overall grid. Yamaha holds both red plates coming in. Hayden Deegan leads 250 SMX as the top seed, while Justin Cooper carries the 450 SMX points lead, the first time he's ever held the advantage on a 450. Expect the Lawrence brothers to be factors immediately. Jet and Hunter have thrived in this hybrid format, and Chase Sexton and Eli Tomac are obvious threats as well. Don't overlook Cooper himself, Ken Roxanne, or RJ Hampshire. They all fit this layout. For context, a Honda HRC CRF 450 has won every single 450 SMX overall so far, 6 straight events split between Chase and Jet in 2023, then Jet and Hunter in 2024. The question hangs over Charlotte. Does that streak keep rolling? And who takes the first check of the postseason? One notable absence changes the conversation. Jorge Prado will not race these SMX playoffs amid a rocky situation between the two-time MXGP World Champion and Monsterenergy Kawasaki. This week alone brought two big no's. No Team Spain slot for the Monsterenergy FIM Motocross of Nations, and no SMX appearance despite Prado sitting 13th and guaranteed a place in the motos. It's a significant storyline as the gate drops without one of the sport's biggest names. Qualifying began with the unseeded 250 SMX group, where Yamaha's Daxton Bennick and Max Anstey set the early tone before Time Masterpool laid down the lap to beat a 1 minute and 56.956 seconds that stood as the class benchmark. When the first seeded 250 SMX session went green, Nate Thrasher initially took control while riders felled out the fastest lines. Seth Hamaker then bumped to P1 before a scary moment in the long rhythm. His foot pegs appeared to catch the face of the triple. He came up short and endoed onto the landing. He was quickly back on his feet and able to ride off, an encouraging sign after such a heavy crash. In the closing minutes, Hayden Deegan stamped the session with a 1 minute and 57.972 seconds to top the seeded group, bettering Hamaker's 1 minute and 59.068 seconds. Even so, Masterpool's 1 minute and 56.956 seconds remains the fastest 250 SMX time of the morning, though he'll still have to earn his way into the points-paying motos via the wild card, LCQ, this afternoon. In 450 SMX, the first seeded session fired with P1 Justin Cooper leading the train until a quick tip over after the finish handed track position to RJ Hampshire. Jet Lawrence answered with a 1 minute and 56.335 seconds to go to the top as Eli Tomac, Chase Sexton, and Ken Roxanne all dipped into the 1:57s. Late in the run, Sexton found another gear and dropped a 1 minute and 55.591 seconds to secure the top spot of the session, with Jet close behind at 1 minute and 55.719 seconds, just 0.128 seconds back. The unseeded 450 SMX session earlier in the program was topped by beta teammates Benny Bloss and Mitchell Oldenburg, who made the most of a rapidly improving surface. Heat, humidity, evolving dirt, and a playoff format that rewards precision will define the rest of the day. The pace is already hot, and it's only going to rise as the track comes around and the big names turn up the intensity. In the second 250 SMX qualifying session, Levi Kitchen wasted no time asserting himself, punching in an early benchmark and holding the top spot while the rest of the pack settled in. Hayden Deegan and Joe Shimoda never quite strung together a lap to take over P1 in that run, even as Ryder DeFrancesco crept up the charts and briefly occupied second while the pace rose with each clean lap. Then the session took a sharp turn. Julian Bomer suffered a heavy crash in the long rhythm lane, went down hard, and immediately drew a red flag. He looked genuinely shaken, and officials halted the clock so medics could assist and escort him from the track. The verdict was quick. Bulmer would sit out the rest of the night, an abrupt end after a promising build to the weekend, and a stark reminder of how punishing this hybrid SMX layout can be when the timing's off by inches. When the session resumed, the headline from earlier in the program still held firm. Ty Masterpool's 1 minute and 56.956 seconds from the unseeded group remained the fastest 250 SMX lap of the day, a statement time that, provided he transfers through the wild card race, hands him first gate pick for the motos. Deegan's best effort 1 minute and 57.972 seconds stood as second overall, and Kitchen's late push elevated him to third on combined times, a tidy reward for setting the tone early in that second run. For context, Masterpool's position is unusual, but not unprecedented. Being unseeded forces him to fight his way into the points-paying motos via the LCQ, yet his raw pace means that if he advances, he'll start Moto 1 with the best gate on the line. It's the classic SMX paradox. Speed on the stopwatch doesn't matter unless you earn your way to the gate, but once you do, that speed can reshape the front row. The second 450 SMX session unfolded with a similar rhythm. An early flare, a mid-session shuffle, and late-session knife fights against a track that was getting meaner by the minute. Dylan Ferrandis popped to the top first, his opening laps clean enough to plant a flag before the inevitable reshuffle. Eli Tomac then took over as the lines began to groove, carrying momentum across the backside of the drag strip where the sandy base rewards throttle patience and exit drive. Soon after, Jet Lawrence began stacking laps that looked like race pace, precise, low risk, and quick, and Hunter Lawrence shadowed in the same time window. By then, the surface had gone from forgiving to demanding. Deeper ruts on corner exits, square edges forming in the transitions, and braking bumps that punished even small timing errors. In that state, finding tenths becomes harder than it was in Session 1. Jet still closed the second session as the fastest of that run, but the stopwatch told the fuller story. Chase Sexton's 1 minute and 55.591 seconds from the earlier seeded session remained the day's outright benchmark, with Jet's 1 minute and 55.719 seconds just 0.128 seconds shy, and everyone else chasing on an increasingly technical track. The implication for the motos is straightforward. Sexton carries top honors into the gate pick, a small but meaningful advantage on a split start layout where micro-positioning and neighbor selection can decide the first 100 meters. Tomac, Ferrandis, and Roxen were all comfortably under 158 at one point or another, which hints at a deep front group once the gate drops, but the qualifying headline is clear. Sexton owns the fastest lap of the day, Jet owns the second session, and the rest of the field will have to turn their morning speed into afternoon execution on a surface that's only getting rougher. Big picture, the second sessions didn't rewrite the pecking order so much as confirm it under tougher conditions. Masterpool's unseeded heater still rules the 250 board, with Deegan and Kitchen closest on combined time, and Shimoda not yet showing his ultimate lap. In 450, Sexton's earlier flyer sets the tone, Jet leads the late charge, and the rest of the heavies have the pace to make the opening laps a knife fight. With temperatures climbing and the dirt breaking down, qualifying has already done its job. It handed out gate picks, exposed who adapts fastest when grip goes away, and teed up motos where precision will matter as much as outright speed.